Politicians in Ohio are creating laws, rules, and regulations to go after corporate landlords. But those same rules are going to apply to regular landlords as well and will end up punishing small mom and pop landlords. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the state of Ohio. So, obviously, Ohio is a very landlord friendly place, so I don't normally read a lot of really negative stuff. But what they're doing in Ohio is they're targeting these corporate landlords. Corporate landlords, they went into the state and they just bought up thousands and thousands of homes, right? And that's obvious reason is because the housing there is super duper cheap. It is one of the cheapest places to buy real estate in the entire country. Okay. And they have very landlord friendly laws there on top of that. So, yeah, it was going to be a target for corporate investment, but it's not just a target for corporate investment. There's a lot of smaller mom and pop players in the markets as well, including locals who own, quite a few homes, and they are going to get caught up in the same legislation when they're going after, these huge billion-dollar corporations. Well, when they created these rules and these laws, they're going to hit the smaller landlords as well. And the effect will be very negative on the market. Okay. It will decimate some landlords. It will cause a lot of disinvestment. And, this is why I don't support these sort of things. I have my own issues with the huge mega corporations, right? But one thing that I've always noticed is that when they try to target these big corporations and they're like, oh, well, these corporations are the ones causing the problem, they don't create rules that specifically go after them. They create rules that go after all landlords. They create rules that hurt us all. And that's why I'm opposed to any legislation that goes after them. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments, what do you think of these large mega corporate landlords who are buying up like single family houses? Do you think that they are a net positive or a net negative? Okay. Now, obviously, my opinion is going to be different than a lot of the small landlords. They don't agree with me on this. My personal belief is that, hey, I think there's enough housing to go around. I believe that, they just do so little actual, with the markets that it's not going to make any big relevant difference. I think that the true causes of the affordable housing crisis isn't that landlords are buying up all of the properties, all the real estate. I think it's that they're not building enough, and that, these people, only thing they're doing is they're fulfilling a need. They're fulfilling a need for rental housing. Okay. Single family rentals, they're the next big thing. People don't want to live in apartments as much as they used to. People want to have that feeling of single family house, but they don't want the strings attached with actually buying a house. They don't want to be stuck in this one location. They don't want to have to be able to, or, provide all the maintenance on their own. And, they might want to, or they might not be able to actually get the credit together and get all the finances necessary to buy their own home. So renting a single family home is the next best thing. It's kind of like you get the American dream, but you don't necessarily own it. So I think single family rentals are great. I own several myself. Okay. I own 5 single family houses, and, I have no issues with renting them out. But if I was any bigger, these laws that they're creating would go after me. And that's what my big issue is. So let's get into this article and see what it says. This article is coming from abc6onyourside.com, and it says, federal lawmakers look to eliminate tax breaks for many corporate-owned single-family rental homes. And it looks like there's a video with this article. I'll play part of that video for you right now.
Because they do such damage to the community. They buy them up. They raise rents. They often don't keep them up.
This week, U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown announced his proposal for the Stop Predatory Investing Act. That would eliminate the federal tax deduction of interest or depreciation on properties owned by corporations and investors with portfolios of 50 single-family home rentals or more in one community.
The American public is getting hurt by Wall Street on this, by these big private investing companies.
Already this week, I spoke with GOP State Senator Bill Blessing, who tells me Texas-based corporation Vinebrook Homes owns up to 4,000 rental homes in Hamilton County under 90 different LLCs. Nevada-based corporation American Homes for Rent owns more than 2,000 single-family rentals in Columbus and another 2,000 in Cincinnati. While AMH highlights it's raising rents, they stated their single-family rentals are an important option given high barriers for home ownership, and their homes make up a small portion of the market.
Well, they can talk fractions, but they own thousands of homes.
Senator Blessing already proposed to levy a monthly tax on institutional investors who own more than 50 single-family rentals in a county to get these corporations to sell some of their housing stock.
All right, you saw the video. Let's get into the article. Columbus, Ohio. Corporations buying, owning, and renting out homes by the hundreds and thousands in targeted communities are now receiving attention from federal lawmakers. U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, Democrat from Ohio, sponsored the Stop Predatory Investing Act this week with several of his Democratic colleagues on Capitol Hill. They do so much damage to the community, Brown told ABC6 On Your Side Problem Solvers on Wednesday. They buy them up, raise rent. They often don't keep them up. The American public is getting hurt by Wall Street on this, by these big private investing companies. They mention, the big companies are doing this stuff, right? And, the truth of the matter is they aren't opposed to just the big companies. They're opposed to the idea of landlords overall. They don't like the fact that, hey, there are private individuals out there who are making a profit by renting their places out. Okay, they don't like that. They want to go to a socialized housing model where the government owns and controls everything. And so really, when they're attacking these corporate landlords, what it is it's an attack on property rights as a whole, and it's an attack on capitalism, okay? Problem Solvers this week revealed state attempts in Ohio to regulate institutional investors through several bills now in respective committees at the State House. State Senator Bill Blessing wants to levy a monthly tax on the corporations that own 50 single-family home rentals or more in one county. He said the overwhelming tax would prompt some to sell their housing stock for desired homeowners. Yeah, keep in mind what that just said. 50. Not 500, not 5,000. Okay, 50. Now, I know several smaller landlords who own more than 50 properties. Okay, I know these people. They are not these huge mega corporations. Okay, they are operating small landlord businesses. Many of them are working in those businesses every single day, and they own 50 houses. And now this state lawmaker has lumped them in there with, BlackRock and these, multi-billion-dollar corporations. That is how ridiculous this is. Like I said, when they create these laws, they end up going after regular small mom and pop landlords as well. And that's what I don't want to see. Now, Senator Brown is calling for the elimination of federal tax deductions of interest or depreciation on properties owned by corporations with 50 single-family home rentals or more in one community. Senator Blessing told Problem Solvers that research found that Texas-based corporation Vinebrook Homes owns up to 4,000 single-family rental homes in Hamilton County under 90 different LLCs. Now, think about this for a second. They're talking about eliminating tax deductions for mortgage interest and for depreciation if you own more than 50 properties. Wow. Okay. That would be huge. And that would be something that would destroy the real estate market. Okay. And they're like, oh, well, this will only hit these large land. No, I already told you, there's so many smaller landlords who own 50 properties. 50 is a very, very low number. I'm not, I don't believe in that sort of thing at all. But as you can tell, the number is way lower than you would expect if they're going after these big, huge mega corporations. And there could even be an argument by some of these politicians who are trying to get votes. They could go after somebody who owns 5 properties. Okay. They're like, well, this person is rich. They don't deserve these tax breaks. And, that's the way these people think. They think that, oh, well, we're going to punish the rich. Well, who's paying taxes? Who's the ones who are going out here buying up all these homes, these dilapidated homes in a shrinking city like Cleveland or Cincinnati, right? These towns are Rust Belt towns that have declining populations, and a lot of the housing stock there is falling apart. So what do landlords do? We go in there, we fix those properties up, we make them livable, and we rent them out to the people who need them. Okay, and yet we're called the villains. The people who live there aren't fixing these houses up. We're doing a net benefit to these cities and these communities, and yet we're treated as villains. That's wrong. It's dumb. And just sitting there and trying to say, hey, we want to punish you for that. The only thing that reeks of is, people who are jealous that other people are making money and they're not. So they want to steal that money from them, rob from the rich, give to the poor, that whole Robin Hood fallacy. Okay. It's a complete joke argument, and I just don't agree with it. Nevada based American Homes for Rent owns more than 2,100 single family rental homes in Columbus and another 2,000 in Cincinnati, according to its own earnings report. The report highlights the company is raising rents and generating higher profits. However, a spokesperson told Problem Solvers that single family home rental is an important option given the high barriers to home ownership. AMH says their homes make up a small portion of the market. And honest truth, they do. Okay. The majority of the homes out there are owned by private individuals who live in their own houses, right? Then follow that up by small mom and pop rental property owners. And then finally, after that, you have these bigger corporate rental property owners, right? And they own just a small portion of the properties out there. And of course, they're going to be buying in places like, Ohio, where the prices are cheap. They're buying in places like Kansas City, where I own properties, because the prices are cheap there. They're not buying a lot in places like California, where the houses are extremely expensive. Okay, but this is a business. This is a business. They realized this was a good business plan. They saw that, hey, this was the future. People are going forward, are buying homes less often, and they're renting homes more often. So they adapted to that, and this is the end result. So, like I said, there are people out there who have issues with these corporate landlords. I'm one of them. I have some issues with some of the stuff they do. However, I don't like the fact that, hey, small landlords like myself get lumped in with them, and we face the same repercussions, and whenever they pass these new laws.